you doing, Internet? I'm Beatnuts, and today I would like to talk about why I chose Gunpla as one of my hobbies. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to have a little bit more appreciation for it and choose whether or not it is also for you. Gunpla is short for Gundam Plastic Models, and it's something that's been around since 1980. So Bandai's technology and techniques for it has been able to evolve significantly, and in the last few years especially, it has become much easier to get into it because so much less is needed in order to participate within the Gunpla community and the hobby. As you can see behind me, Gunpla take various shapes and designs as well as color variations. So there's almost always something that can appeal to basically everyone. The choice as to what to choose to build and have on your shelves or not to display, whatever, it's entirely up to you. In fact, it's that choice that makes it such an attractive hobby. You can choose what to get and what not to get, and exactly how deeply you want to look into this rabbit hole. Enthusiasts can do anything from straight build, where you just build according to the instructions in the manuals, to complete customizations, paintings, scratch building, customized parts. You can do anything. So Gunpla really is freedom. Ease of access to the various Gunpla kits can vary according to what's available in your country. Since I live in Canada, there aren't very many affordable hobby stores around with my area, so I often resort to Amazon, both the Canadian and the American websites, as well as HLJ.com and AmiAmi.com. Both of the latter do charge for shipping, however, the prices can become easily affordable. It all depends, because those two also charge in Japanese yen. So you have to take the currency into account when you're deciding whether or not to buy. While the instructions are primarily in Japanese, there are pictorials that show you exactly how the parts are supposed to come together. And most of the time they don't require that much interpretation, although occasionally they do. The parts are numbered according to letters. As well, each runner is clearly marked so that you can tell which runner you're supposed to go to and then find the parts that you need, and then you can match them together. Parts are generally molded in color with stickers included so that you can get the fine details as well. They normally include stickers for the eyes especially, but also they can include general details, especially on the high grade and SDs. The simpler the kit, the more there are stickers. So when you take a look at SDs, most of that is picked out in stickers. Even the white on this blue piece, those are stickers. The black striping, the stickers, the eyes of course are stickers. I did paint a significant amount on this. Besides molding in color, the parts are molded to create a port and peg system so that you can connect the pieces together and build the models without using a drop of glue. There are some cases where you will want to glue smaller pieces together. However, they're not necessarily necessary to complete the build. These factors make it much easier to get into Gunpla, since you don't need all that much to do it. You can add more if you want, but that depends on how far you want to take your models. Once again, if you paint your model, it can go a little bit further than it would otherwise. The models are also divided into grade, depending on the complexity and the detail that you want in your model. The SD I was showing you before has only basic articulation and detail. It's made using almost entirely ball joints. that often fall apart, but that's okay since that's part of the whole build and the whole experience. Then you have more complicated high grades. These are middle of the road as concerns detail and articulation. So they have decent joints and bends, so that they can move in all the ways that they're supposed to. And most of the detail is usually plastic parts these days, although in some cases as well, they use a significant amount of stickers. And of course you can take this in any direction that you want, as long as it's within the realm of what it already has. This is additional part. This is basically my custom of the 1.5 Gundam, which I call the Lullaby. It has some pretty good movement as well as detail, and I'll be sure to do a video review of that another time. You can get him into a variety of poses, just like, say, the Grim Guard, which I reviewed recently. When you go up, you get to the real grade, and detail is its bailiwick. As such, it has quite a few gimmicks, but it's also generally more fragile than a high grade. So you can see some of the fine details in the 00 from the Trans Am Riser kit. Then you can also see that there are some things in here that you wouldn't have in the others. For example, this part of the V-fin has been molded in an orangey gold, and there's also a bit of a swirl to the injected general armor just because it's supposed to simulate Trans Am. It's also more fragile than the high grade in some ways, but it also has some gimmicks, such as where the cockpit would be, it's supposed to open. But the main thing that real grades are around for is the detail. While high grades are the most numerous and the mainstay line in Gunpla, most people will swear by master grades, which are larger, more complex. They generally have a lot more gimmicks to them, but because they're more complicated, people also tend to shy away from them. It's either the complexity or the price that gets most people to shy away, at least at first, but then they become attracted to what they have to offer. Not only is the build process more interesting and involved, but also the options that you can use with them afterwards. And this is my one and only master grade, at least so far. But you can go further. There is such a thing called perfect grade, and unlike the master grade, which is 1 to 100 scale, or the real grade and high grades, which are 1 to 144th, perfect grades are 1 to 60th scale. So imagine twice as big, or roughly twice as big, as the master grade, and you're somewhere within the perfect grade territory. Because they're so much bigger, they're also in a way easier to handle because the pieces themselves are larger. Then beyond perfect grade, you have mega size, which is 1 to 48th scale. These are the most limited kits. There are, I believe, under 10 of them, and they come included with a little tool to take the pieces off the runners. So you don't even need to use a plastic nipper, plastic cutter for them. You also don't usually have to use a plastic cutter for these because you can just twist and pull the pieces off the runner by hand. But you know, the way they look like they're designed for cuteness. The heads are about twice the size of the body. It's just the way that the STs are designed. But the perfect grades and mega sizes are definitely much more serious, and they will hit you in the wallet just as seriously. But if you can afford them, I've also heard that they're worthwhile experiences. Regardless of what you do pick to buy and then construct, you can take it as far or as little as you want. A scratch build and a straight build are both perfectly legitimate options for you, depending on what you actually want to do with them. So you can go as far as little as you want. My nephew enjoys straight building. I hardly ever straight build. I think the only one I've ever done that with is the transom riser because I don't want to ruin the gloss coat. Most of the time I will add a little bit more detail in to try to enhance my models. And I have submitted a custom build into HLJ's Playing with Plomo contest, which ended at the end of April, so we'll see whether or not it plays. I didn't mention pricing being a factor. I didn't mention any specific pricing. An SD, like the Musha Gadenru, should probably run you somewhere between $8 and $12, talking in Canadian currency. A high grade, depending on what's in it, depending on what's in a high grade kit, it can run you anywhere between $15 and $30. And an especially big one, you should probably try to aim for $25 or $26 at most. It's not unknown for a perfect grade to run you a couple $100. A master grade, like the Gundam The Origin, this ran me about $30, and that was on sale. You can find them for anywhere upwards of $60, $70, even $100 in some cases, but again, it depends on how much plastic is in it. The EX models, like my Eternal back there, should run between $20 and $30. I've seen them listed for hundreds of dollars. I wouldn't advise trying to buy for that simply because it's much more money than it's worth. By comparison, something like a good quality Zoids model is somewhere in the master grade range as far as price is concerned. I've heard they're still good quality, but you have to be willing to pay a pretty penny in order to get and then enjoy them. Meanwhile, there are much more affordable high grades and SDs out there that you could enjoy. So because Gunpla offers you this range and this freedom to choose exactly what you want and what you want to do with it, that is a lot of the draw to why it is a great hobby for me, because it's not all that expensive and it still allows you the freedom to choose how much you want to do with it. As the technology and techniques have evolved, Bandai keeps breaking their rules of what we can assume will be included inside a kit. Up until very recently, no high grades had an inner frame. That was exclusively the purview of master grades and real grades. But the Iron-Blooded Orphan kits often do include inner frames. And what am I talking about? Well, I have part of the frame of the RG00 Quantum. So this is instead of little polycaps which only exist at the joints, which would be sort of like just that, and then the rest of the leg would be constructed around it. And this little skeleton-like part, which bends, I don't know how closely you can actually see how the parts are moving. And it will be for the armor separation as well. And you can see a bit the foot and the toe, how it points up or down. I'm holding it upside down, so it was down for me. And how it flexes. And that's all framed. The armor goes on around this. So that's what we've been able to expect within a master grade and a real grade. And now it's also been in some high grades, although we don't really know how far that will be used within the high grade past the Iron-Blooded Orphan lines. We haven't seen it in the new Evolve project with the Zeta, but we could see it again in the future anytime. It all depends on Bandai and what they prefer to do. But their engineering is extremely impressive because of how easily certain things can go together and how it moves. Let me take a look at that and tell that's I've been moving this around quite a bit and it's still quite tight. And that's just one part of the frame. So that's something that will end up in the core of the model. I hope that helped you a little bit with an introduction to Gunpla, what it's all about, and some of the things that are involved within it. You can look forward to more reviews of the things that I have on my shelves there. You can comment and give me suggestions below. Like and subscribe to show your support. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye bye!